Welcome to the Miss Esquire Podcast, where we truly believe your network is your net worth. I'm your host, Riza Vargas, and the founder of Miss Esquire.
I'm Trish Widowfield. I'm the Vice President, Miss Esquire, and your co-host.
And every single episode, we love thanking our two sponsors that made this possible this season. First, Littler, which is the largest law firm worldwide for employment law firm. You can call them for all your employment needs.
And Professional Interpreting Associates, who provide interpreting and translating services for all industries.
Yes. And we have an exciting day today. Do you want to introduce them?
So we have Neil and Grace. This is the first episode we've had two guests.
Yeah.
So welcome.
No, second.
Look at us.
Oh, you're right. So
We're not that special.
No. But,
a little bit.
but we're excited because this is my industry. I love talking about real estate. We haven't had an opportunity to talk about real estate. So for those of you guys who don't know, I actually do, they know, but I do a real estate transaction. I'm a real estate lawyer. And so I figured they're part of our network, but also people that I work with and I trust. And I was like, we should have a real estate conversation, which there's a lot of hot topics right now in real estate. So first I'm going to introduce Neil, who is our member in Boca. And he is a, what should we call you?
I'm a loan officer.
A loan officer?
Yeah,
A mortgage
that's
broker?
what I do best.
All right.
And Vice President for Main Street Homeowners.
Yes. And more importantly, so we know how important Neil is, he is, how kidding, he is 1%. I was talking to him this morning, I was like, what? 1% of the loan originators in the country. I was like, for your company? He's like, no, in the country. I was
Wow.
like, not just in your company? He's like, no, in the entire country. I was like,
I don't
wow.
know how else to tell you this,
Yeah.
Raza, in the country.
And it could be more than 12 years. We don't know, but definitely number one for Main Street.
That's awesome.
And we also have Grace, who is a member in our Fort Lauderdale
Yay.
group, which we're excited to have. And she's a realtor with Coldwell Banker. And she is also number one premier, President's Premier Club in Coldwell Banker. And she had the largest sale in her Weston office. So the record
Yes.
holds the largest sale record in her office. So really important people.
So we have two people in the top 1%.
I know. What are we?
I don't know. We're slumming over here.
So I'm not in the 1% of anything right now, so that's kind of sad. But we always like starting and asking, well, both of you will answer this question. So we truly believe that the overnight success took 20 years. So tell me a little bit about what you think is the most instrumental seed that you guys planted in your career to get to the 1% where you are
Yeah.
today.
Neil?
Sure, I'll go first. I feel like, I've been in the mortgage industry for 22 years now. And first job out of college. And, as a young buck, I was, cut my teeth just working hard and cold calling. Got a gift of gab on the phone, just talking to as many people as I could. And then later in my career, what really catapulted me, I feel that in my personal and business life is I ended up getting a business coach.
Oh.
And the coaching program I've been a part of for the past 7 years has really taught me a lot of great tools. And I feel like systems are crucial. Like in any
Yeah.
business, like in your business,
Right.
if you have good systems in place, you can grow exponentially. And then not to mention, if you're tracking everything you're doing, it's really easier to make tweaks to improve, where you want to go. So I think that's really helped me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Grace, what
I
are you?
mean, I think for me, I've only been a full-time realtor for 6 years. I've had my license for 10 years. But I think it's been my commitment to work hard and differentiate myself. And I decided that even though it was kind of like a new career path for me, I was going to work super hard and I was going to do things different. But I was always very like quality and focus-driven quality-driven, I guess. So I think that's kind of like the things that helped me be so successful. I was like, there's no room for failing in this. I gotta like make it work, and I was always determined. So I think that really helped me, get to where I am.
I love it. So obviously, there's a lot of, both of you, I called you to be here today because I think you guys are set apart from other people. There's a lot of people that do what we do. There's a lot of title companies, a lot of mortgage brokers. There's definitely a lot of realtors. But tell me how you guys actually got into the industry. Like what decided, like when you were growing up, I'm sure you weren't like, I'm going to be a realtor, So tell me how you guys got to the industry you are today.
I'll go first.
You go first.
Well, first of all, I never thought I was going to be a realtor. I'm like, it's too competitive, and I never saw myself as a salesperson. But basically, my background a little bit before real estate, I was always like into law. I was a paralegal, so I did a little bit of foreclosures and then HOA. Then I, started having my family and blah, 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 and it was time for me to stay home. And then I took my license, but my kids were still little. And one day, my husband was transitioning from jobs, and he's like, I think you have to go back to work. And I'm like, oh, my God, what am I going to do? I don't want to, like, go to an office because you get used to being home and the flexibility, which we work 24/7. But I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to activate my real estate license. And so that's what I did. He said, you should go to work. I knew somebody in Facebook that needed a bilingual realtor, and I thought joining a team was probably a good starting for me, and that's how I started. I joined the Coldwell Banker Weston office in 2018, and 6 years later, I'm still in the same office, and I love it, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else. It was just meant to be. It was just like about the timing.
Yeah. Neil, what about you? Was that your kindergarten? You wrote down mortgage broker. They do like
right.
firefighter.
Yes,
My kid actually picked astronaut this year, and I was like, that is a great one. Did you pick mortgage broker?
No, I think back in the day I wanted to be like a zookeeper.
Oh.
Yeah.
We both go,
But
that's
shocking,
different.
right? No. So out of college, I'll be honest. It was like they baited me into, you can make all this money. So I'm like, all right, this sounds good.
Yeah.
And it was at a time where, really, if you had a pulse, you could get a mortgage. You didn't even have to be licensed.
What year was this? 2008?
This is 2002.
Oh.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know what? It sounded like
I'll pay you later.
There you are. You're welcome.
And so I didn't know anything. It was my first job,
Right.
and it was odd hours. And then as I got longer in the industry, now I've really appreciated you mentioned working 24/7. Yes, that's true, right? But I love the flexibility of kind of setting my own hours. If I really truly don't want to work, I don't have to. And then more importantly, what I like is the harder you work, the more money you make. So it's a, you can only blame yourself in a sales role. And then, I'm kind of enjoying now just kind of giving back to, and, we've got a good young guy out of college now. We're grooming him, and I see kind of this twinkle in his eye that I used to have, and he's loving it now. So it's been good.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the questions I most often get in any conversation. I go to a party and people want to talk about real estate. I don't know if that happens to you guys or no. Because I'm like, I don't want to talk
How's
about
the
law.
market?
Yeah.
How's the market?
So the two most common questions, I'm sure you guys can guess what the two most common questions I'm going to ask you is, but when is a good time to buy, right? Everybody's waiting for the market to go down in order to buy, which we'll talk about that. And then also, when are interest rates going to go back to 3%, or are they going to go down? So let's dissect each one of those, and we'll talk. And obviously, this is for both of you because I'm sure both of you have answers to each one of them. But let's talk about when is it a good time to buy?
When you're looking at, I always bring up, I'm a numbers guy, right? So when you bring up the average appreciation across the country, I don't care what market you're in, of homes across the country is 4%. Okay, that's average. So if you look at, if you're buying a primary residence, and you're not flipping a property and you're not trying to time something, then buy at any time. Like Trish said, you can always refinance. You're going to have the ability to deduct taxes. You've got, if you're throwing money away at rent, I just think it's just not it's so hard to time. And I always use a number, right? So when you're looking at return on investment, so you take 10%, if you put, let's just say 5% down on a $500,000 house, right? That's $25,000. If that house 5 years later grows modestly and it's worth maybe 10% more, you've just made $50,000 on a $25,000 investment. So where can you get that return? So, when you're looking at it that way, and as long as you're comfortable with the payment, just go for it.
Yeah, and I think the big thing, the caveat here is like a lot of people are paying, for me, I lost my house during Hurricane Irma, 'cause flooding, so I had to rebuild it. And then I was like, I'm not living near water again in my life. That scared the living bejesus out of me. So then I moved over here. This is why we're here. But anyways, well, during that time, my husband's like, I don't know if I want to live here, so I want to rent. And the rent prices kept going up and up and up and up. And I was like, Christopher, we need to buy a house. Like, I'm not going to pay $9,000 in rent, which is what they were asking
That's
for
crazy.
here.
Sure.
I was like, I can have a mortgage for $6. Like, are you crazy? So I think the key to that is so many people are putting so much money. They're paying their landlord, which is fantastic if you're an investor, but not so much if you're renting.
Yeah.
So it's like things to consider is how much money are you throwing away and how many years have you done it for, right?
Right, and it's a hedge against inflation. Like all this inflation talk. I mean, you think it's going to get cheaper to build a house,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, so yeah. anyway.
100%. So what about when are interest rates going to be 3% again, Neil?
The
I
crystal.
don't have a crystal ball.
Never.
We've established that.
I like telling a lot of my clients that's a sharp possibility of never, because
Yeah,
there's
I agree.
first off, COVID was part of it. I mean, I'm sure you know more than I do as to why. I mean, you've been doing this for 22 years. So obviously you've never seen before this. In your 22 years, have you seen 3% before this?
No. I mean, I wish. I mean, that happens again. I mean, but I think that's a generational thing. I mean, I don't think we'll see that. But, you know, it is, I do expect rate cuts
Right.
in the next 2 years, I'd say, but I don't think we'll get there. So if people are waiting to get down to 2% again, I just don't think it's going to be there. But
Yeah.
100%. I think a big driving factor for that was COVID.
Yeah.
And unless something crazy ever happens like that
Yeah.
again, shutdown, which is a reason why it stimulated the market at that time was
I
done
think obviously for the listing agents, and I mean, it was a great time, but it wasn't really a healthy market.
No.
And now, you know, it's really coming back to us because it's been an adjustment for me as a listing agent, which I do a lot of listings. You start wondering like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? Like, why isn't I'm not getting showings requests, and why, you know, it's taking now 90 to 120 days. But you have to remember that was like
The normal,
what a
right.
normal market was. So when I started my career in 2018, that's what it was. So, but then quickly, you know, COVID happened. And so I think it's just been an adjustment. And I mean, we were chatting about all the external things that have happened, right? Like everybody thought the elections and things were going to settle, but then tariffs, the stock market, now I don't know, the mayor from New York or what. So
Yeah.
it's like there's so many things that could affect. I just hope that we continue to get into a more of a stable market, because I just don't think having a seller market like that, it's going to be like that good, because then we're going to be back in the same
Yeah.
boat. I don't know, but we don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. What were the interest rates, do you remember, pre-COVID?
We're in like 4.7, like 4.
Yeah, they were it was high fours, 5%,
Yeah.
and then they dropped a point or two in, weeks. It is wild.
Crazy.
So can you two talk a little bit about the biggest trends you're seeing in the housing market?
I mean, I think this right now this is probably like, you know, price drops, more inventory, so you have a lot of choices, sellers concessions, sellers coming down to terms before they could ask whatever they want. You know, now you have to have those conversations that, you know, if you're not priced right, the house isn't going to move, and then you're just helping your neighbor sell their house. So I think that's like the biggest trend as far as on the consumer from the buyer's perspective. Decorations and things like that, everybody's loving whites, coastal, farmhouse, gray.
Farmhouse is back, really?
Well, you know, like whites, like light wood. Like
Okay.
when I bought my house, grays were in, you know, and like porcelain tile and a little bit chrome and shiny. Now it's like white cabinets, dark handles, the light wood colors, you know, a lot of light wood frames. And I'm not seeing that super more modern. It's all more like, I think it's like coastal farm.
Right.
Yeah,
Farmhouse.
everyone is changing out all of their
Yeah.
outside, instead of it being white, it's like black. it's gone
Right,
to
like
black.
the trims.
The trims,
Yeah,
So
so
like the doors are black,
doors,
the
yeah.
window. My whole neighborhood is going black. I'm like, whoa, do we need to do this? I don't know. It looks good though.
That's
I like
kind
it.
of like what I'm seeing as far as like the decor.
Awesome.
Aren't you saying, what are you saying? This is a question for me. Can I ask questions on this?
Okay, yeah,
I don't
sure.
wanna-
Yeah.
Okay.
First, you're not coming back on the
Yeah,
podcast.
that's
Now you
like-
want to ask
anyway.
questions, whatever you want.
You can come and sit over here if you want, Neil.
You get to take over.
No.
Go ahead, Neil.
What are you seeing homes sit on the market that aren't redone? I mean, are you seeing people just willing to pay up a premium on a home that's already been remodeled, or?
So yes, I'm not. If you are priced too high and your house doesn't reflect the value, buyers aren't buying it.
Right.
Because it's cost a lot of money to borrow money, right? And so if you have to pay a lot of money, to buy this house, and then you have to come in and also do floors and do the kitchen. And I mean, let's talk about the roofs. The roofs are a huge
Yes.
issue in South Florida, trying to get insurance. So
yeah.
if your house is a 2006, that's already a red flag, right? So you're like, in Parkland, you can have a $2.5 million house, and you're comparing the product, right? So if you're a buyer and looking in that price point, well, there's houses for 2.5 that are like 2020, more modern, or newer upgrades, and then you have one that doesn't. Well, they're not gonna. Buyers are very savvy right now. Most buyers have an agent that's doing their research and checking out the comps. So buyers are really taking their time into seeing the value in what they're getting, because it's just costs a lot of money to borrow a house. So that's why the pricing is really important.
You have to probably play like part psychologist,
Yeah.
like whenever you're listing a house for somebody, and
For sure.
and it's theirs, so they see it as being a
Yeah.
higher value than anybody else. How do you talk them into what you see as a more realistic value?
I love that.
I really sit down and go through. You can't even go back 180 days anymore, because the market has changed so much. And even if something closed 6 months ago, you have to look at when it listed, which could now be like even like 9 months or 12 months. So I tell them that, we have to look at the consumer behavior. We have to look at 30 days. We have to look at not just what's selling in there, but like what the competition is. And just really try to make them understand that the market has changed. They still have appreciation, but they can't expect the 2021 prices. That's just not here anymore, and they have to
missed
move
it.
on. It's hard conversations, but the ones that are listening to me, we're seeing the results. Like, I just sold the house in under a week.
Wow.
We listed it at market value. I haven't seen this since COVID. We went at market value, and we launched an open house weekend. I probably had 12 groups. I had 6 offers.
Wow.
One backup offer, and we closed 35,000 over. So having the right agent guiding you, if you do listen to your agent, you could still see incredible results. But you have to have the conversations and, really study the market. And there's a lot. But I would say pricing right now, it's on a seller's perspective.
That's great.
What about for first-time home buyers? What would be the best piece of advice that you would give, each of you would give for first-time home buyers?
Well, actually, so recent news just came out where there's going to be a new credit agency that we'll be able to pull from called Vantage 4.0, and it's giving first-time homebuyers, for instance, so people with no score before, it allows they give you a score based on like cell phone bills, rent payments, things of that nature,
that's awesome.
and it's opening up 12 million people that did not have a score before. So I think as a first-time home buyer, regardless of state you're in, there are wonderful first-time home buyer programs that offer grant monies, down payment assistance, so you can get a home for virtually no money down.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What about you, Grace?
I think for me, one would be really talk first with a mortgage advisor. I think a lot of people want to be like, I want to buy a house, and can we start looking? I think I can pay $600, and really they have no idea all the factors that come into determining
Like
how much they
debt.
can borrow. So I think it's really important to first talk to the experts And because then he can tell me, okay, Grace, well, you cannot look at something that the HOAs are more than this, right? Because, or that the insurance is much, or the taxes. And second, I would say, don't think this is going to be your forever home.
Right.
Try to like not have crazy expectations. You're just starting the process. So you're building your wealth. This is your first house. Because, they'll be like, oh, I want a pool and I want this and I want that. Sometimes you have to like help them be like, kind of like narrow down, what their expectations are.
That's great.
And it's not like it's not going to be your forever home.
Yeah, and starting off with, what did we own before this? Nothing. Let's start owning something before nothing. You know what I mean? Like, so it's great. I just saw a billboard that I loved. I wanted to repost it on my Vargas Law thing because it was great. It was like, it said, I need to make sure I say it. So it says like, we sold, it was a billboard in New Jersey. Did you guys see it? It said, we sold 526 homes last year. Your cousin sold 2.
Yeah.
And I thought it was the best billboard because it's so true. Everybody's like, oh, my cousin's a realtor. Everybody has my so-and-so is a mortgage broker. My fulana tal, my nanny, husband is like, I'm like, no. So obviously being in this industry for so long, we've seen people that have come and gone in this industry. I feel like, especially right now, we're seeing a lot of people, the good people stay, and then a lot of people get weaned out, which is kind of good for all of us, But there is something to say about knowing your stuff. And I think it makes or breaks a deal, whether that's a title company, whether that's a lender, whether that's your realtor, and it's so important. So talk to me about either a deal that you can remember where you have been a significant factor in making sure that it gets closed or that it got to the closing table.
I saw that, and it's so funny because it's so true. Unfortunately, I don't think the consumer gets educated enough to know like all the work that we put and how important it is to know what you're doing, because they think it's just showing houses or putting pretty pictures and doing the video. But let's talk about the contract. How important it is to understand the as-is contract and how you represent your client differently depending whether you're the buyer's agent or the seller. So just like pretending like, oh, let me just use you because I'm just gonna give you 1%. Well, that can cost you like thousands of dollars, and I really wish people would appreciate more the value of a good agent and what it can do to them. But I have a good story. So obviously when you're a seller's agent, you want the contingencies. You want a lot of money on escrow. You want short inspection period, short loan approval. You want everything like super tight. If you're a buyer's agent, you try to like as little as money you can put. So I was representing a seller in a transaction, and it was like a $1.5 million house. So I think I got them like $100,000 in escrow, and the buyer's agent was, the agent was also the buyer.
Oh.
Which he had
Terrible.
no idea what he was doing. Unfortunately, he had a lender that screwed him up and told him he was gonna get the deal done, and it was passive financing contingencies. They said they were approved, and then all of a sudden we're about to close. I was on vacation, and we weren't closing. My client was freaking out, but because I knew the deadlines and I stayed on top of it, I'm like, listen, they're past the condition. He got the $100,000 given to him. The guy ended up having to find another lender, and ultimately he was able to close. But I basically got him the $100,000 back, put the house on the market while letting the other guy, we're like, listen, if you can get your stuff together and you can still buy the house, we'll apply it back. But if not, he lost the money. So, but if I wasn't a good agent and I didn't understand the importance of having a lot of money and following up on all the, due diligence and all the deadlines, maybe, it could have been bad. So, but then it was bad for him. So that's what could happen to a buyer if you're not, imagine you forgot to remind your client of the loan approval, and then, that's a lot of money.
That's so important. I think I see so many agents. So in our office, Neil knows this, but in our office, we send like all the dates, because dates in our industry are everything. And especially as an attorney, it's a disservice to our client if we're not also acting kind of as like the transaction coordinator. Some realtors have transaction coordinators. Some transaction coordinators are terrible. So we still go through the process of being like, okay, are they breaching the contract? Did they send their escrow deposit? Did they get financing approval on it? And also, I mean, Neil knows this, financing approval, actual financing approval, because people will be like, you have financing approval contingent upon 17 conditions. I'm like, that's not financing approval, guys. Like, you're still, hello, I need an extension, you know? And there's realtors that come in here, don't do the extensions, don't know the as-is contract. So important. Neil, you want to talk about any deal you've saved?
Yeah, I mean, lately, I mean, talking about the industry, South Florida, for instance, I mean, condos are having such a hard time right now, right? So I've countless condo deals. I do so many condos. If you are having, or if you're out there having trouble with condos, call me, because I've done a lot of deal saves for condos. And then also these new programs that are available. So some of the bigger banks don't have, you know, some of these what they're called non-QM loans, non-qualified mortgages. Okay. And it allows people who couldn't buy, or maybe they're not reporting a lot of income on their taxes, to where we maybe just focus on their deposits in their bank account or the cash flow on the unit they're buying. Right. So recently, a condo in Lauderdale, the bank didn't have the product. They kept extending, kicking the can down the road, and we're getting it done and saving the deal in 10 days. So.
Yeah,
awesome.
Neil and I have 3 very complicated ones right
we
now.
Do.
We have 3 currently that need to close. So
That's
it's interesting. We have one in Jamaica. That, we actually just had a conversation yesterday, the day before yesterday. He's like, we need an embassy in Jamaica. I'm like, I'm making an appointment right now at an embassy in Jamaica at 9:30. He's like, you are? I'm like, tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. He's like, how did you get an appointment for tomorrow at 9:30 in Jamaica? But
the beauty of your network.
You have to.
You got to have that. Like, you know, to deal with someone, I know, like, if Verizon's on the case, it's going to be a done deal. And the fact that you can text me, or I can text you, or you're doing more of the texting than me at like odd hours. Sorry. But you were always on it.
I will.
You know, you can attest to that.
We have another one in pre-construction right now where they're very, listen, and I will force them to give us an extension. So, you know, they in pre-construction, they're like, the day you're closing is the day you're closing. They don't want people to, you qualify on cash only. It's not
they want you to
financing.
use their lender and their
and
title, and they pretend like you don't have a choice.
Yes, 100%.
And then they add this, they're like telling you you're saving money, but they like put it somewhere else.
Or they don't respond.
That's another chapter.
Or they don't respond.
They don't respond.
Yeah.
So I was like, we need an extension. Like, we absolutely need it. They don't usually give any extensions. We were able to get an extension. We are going to get it closed.
Yep.
And, you know, we try to make miracles happen. So important on the team. Who is on your team?
And I'm going to interject because I'm the non-realtor profession in here. You know, a lot of people, you said, you know, and they pretend like you have to use their lender, you have to use their title person. Tell the audience a little bit about the choices that they have, because, you know, I think the common person thinks like that they need to go with whoever is selected.
You always, as a consumer, you always have a choice. And what I tell people is that you have to remember that at the end of the day, the salespeople, they work for the developer. So why wouldn't you have someone looking after you, making sure that, you know, guiding you through the initial process, through when you go pick up the, you know, interiors and the upgrades, and making sure that the builder is actually what they're supposed to be doing, and checking on the builders are the ones who are paying the agents anyway. By you not using an agent, you're basically just leaving money on the table. Yeah. Sure. That goes back to the developer. And again, the salespeople that work for the developer works for them and not for you. So I always say, why wouldn't you just have someone looking after you and making sure that everything gets on? Well, I had a deal where we were selling a house. It was like resale, probably one of the new resales from after the new construction was done with the builder. And I think, I mean, I don't know, can we talk about builders? Maybe not. But very big builder in South Florida. They do a lot of homes.
Starts with an L, ends with an
Yes.
Wow.
If you guess, you win a prize. Okay. Anyways, they hadn't closed like a permit, and there was like a lien, And we went to close, and basically, all of a sudden, the seller had no idea that this was still happening, and it because they didn't do their job, and we had to go through their executives, and these are things that could have been avoided
Right.
A title.
very early on. So please, like, if you want to buy new construction, it's great. Just don't go without any representation.
Right.
And yeah, you have choices. You don't have to use their title company, and you don't have to use their lender.
Yeah.
You are more than not welcome, but what's the word? Like, you're allowed.
Yeah.
It's not like
It's not
against their contract.
Right.
Yeah, that's so important. I think more often than not, I'm fixing issues when people are reselling that people come to me like, but this was from the prior owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, I understand, but whatever title company
Yeah.
closed it, left all of these things. And now, yes, we can try to go find the prior owner, but you want to close in 20 days. Like, I'm going to have to file a lawsuit to try to get all these things fixed. We
Yeah.
have to fix all the issues. Half the title companies, because people don't know, they'll just leave a lot of exceptions on the policies. And we take a lot of pride in, I will not close a single thing in my office with one exception. Not
Yeah.
one, because I want people to come back to me. And the saddest part is that most consumers do not even know what that means. They they just go to the closing table. Nobody explains to them what was on their policy, what was the title commitment, what came up on title, what lien or open permits or anything. And the consumer doesn't know what they bought, right? Because there's nothing like, you don't get the keys to the house and they're like, violation, code violation. Like, they don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's so important for us. I take a lot of pride in our work to make sure that no one sits at my closing table with a single exception on their policy. We will not close. And we're often fixing a lot of these mistakes, which is
Yeah.
pretty sad. But let's talk a little bit about Grace. I know one of the things I love about you is you have a lot of visibility. And I think oftentimes realtors think that it's kind of saturated, right? Like, people are constantly on social media and they're
Yeah.
posting. And I think you stick to your personality. I actually wore pink for Grace because if you see her brand, everything is like her like logos in pink, all the things. But you're constantly posting and visibility. How has that helped, you grow your business?
I think since I started, I've always loved like marketing and the creative part of social media. So I remember when I came into the industry, I was like, oh, I want to do really cool videos, and I want to do Twilight. I wanted to do things that I think I always follow other agents, and like I used to watch $1 Million Listing, and I'm like, oh my God, like I know some of the stuff seemed crazy, but I just love how cool they were. And so I'm like, one day I'm going to be doing things like that in my, own way or whatever. So I think when I came in, I wanted to be different. I love social media. I love posting and talking. And I just try to just bring value. Obviously, we're not like a celebrity or whatever, so you can just post whatever you want. But I think I do it with I want people to obviously know that I'm a realtor, but I also want them to know, I'm a mom and I travel and I love fashion, and then I also try to share tips. So I try to kind of like blend it all together in my own genuine way, and I think, it's been successful. And I guess that's why it works.
I love $1 Million Listing. Frederick goes to my church.
No way.
Yes, and I met him, and he's like, shout out to Frederick. Hi, if you're watching.
Yeah.
But he is like the most genuinely nice
he's
person
super
when you
nice.
meet him. And I'm like, he's so big.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty awesome for him.
And, out of all the reality shows about real estate, I have to say that one is probably one of the most true to the industry. I hate the selling sunset. That one makes women look horrible. That's not true. Like, we don't ring a bell and get a paycheck. Like it's just far-fetched. But I do think that obviously there's always a little bit of drama in some of these shows, but I do think the transactions aspect of it and what they go through in that show was very true to what we go through. And obviously they're so big right now, but I mean, they all came from nothing. So the sky is the limit.
Exactly. Grace is on the next one.
So, Neil, can you tell us a little bit about what the difference is between going to a bank and going to a mortgage broker?
Ooh.
I'm glad you didn't ask me about social media. I had a mustache on.
Yeah, you
Instagram.
did. I was like, I saw the mustache. He had a mustache reel yesterday, and I was like, Lord,
Don't ask me.
don't have a mustache.
You thought it was fake.
I thought it was fake because I've never
was
seen
real.
him with a mustache. So I was like, is that fake? But then I was like, also, if he grew that mustache, please
it.
let that not be on my podcast. Go ahead. The podcast you don't want to be
Anyway,
on.
what was the question? I'm sorry.
The difference between
Okay,
going
yes.
to a bank for a
Yeah,
home
so
loan and
good.
going
Yeah,
to a
so
mortgage
there's
broker.
kind of three different. That's a good question because there's three kind of main types of mortgage lenders out there. You got your bank, which is the one that has checking accounts and the car notes and all those things, right? And then you've got a correspondent lender, which is kind of like a bank, and a broker, and then a broker. So what a broker is you're the middleman or woman, and you don't fund anything. You just push it out to multiple banks and see who gives the best client the best rate, and then you fund the loan. The problem with brokers out there, I used to be a broker. Listen, I mean, there's some great brokers out there, but you do lose control because you are sending it off to someone to have it underwritten and processed. The correspondent lender is a blend of both, which is what I am. I've worked for a big bank. I've worked for a broker, so now I'm kind of a blend of both, where we underwrite everything in-house, we fund everything on our credit lines. We'll even service it like a bank, but we don't offer credit. We don't offer checking accounts or anything.
Right.
But then we can sell it off to an investor after closing. So it's something that's happens behind the scenes.
Yeah. That's really important because losing control is a
Yeah.
big factor on people not being able to close.
Totally.
Because you can have a bank never respond. Their underwriting department, they don't have control on like speaking to them,
They've
which
got
is very
silos of
frustrating.
underwriting.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And you talked a little bit about like the first-time home buyer credit. What are some of the other programs out there that people might not know about?
Well, just touching on, so the investors out there, I do a ton of investor loans. This bill that just recently passed extends a lot of these incentives for investors. So, including big tax benefits. And these investment loans work for people who might not be showing a lot of income on their return, but all we care about is just the cash flow on the property. So as long as the rent is going to cover the mortgage, then they get a loan.
That's great.
So it's a product that we've never had before. So it's a very popular program for the past now year and a half, 2 years.
Nice. That sounds like it gives a lot of flexibility.
Huge.
Yeah.
You can close in an LLC.
Which is super hard because you can't close in an LLC unless you have money in the LLC, which a lot of people
right.
don't know.
They can start these LLCs right away.
And then people want to transfer from their personal name into an LLC, which is another problem because it accelerates your mortgage and people don't know that there's a clause, which is why you need an attorney. Call me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
That's right.
I feel
Shameless
like this
plug.
podcast is like full of really good information.
It is, of course.
Yeah,
We've
I
got-
love it.
I bet it's their best one. Yeah.
I think so. I think this one is gonna have the most downloads.
I
We're
definitely-
definitely
For
coming
sure.
back.
And the
Yeah.
saddest part about it is Neil didn't even want to be on it. I'm kidding.
Now he loves it.
I love it.
Now we're staying for another hour.
It's going to be the longest podcast.
Yeah.
for sure.
What are the most popular mortgage options right now?
Popular mortgage options, obviously low down payments for first-time home buyers. They can get in, there's 100% financing out there. VA buyers, veterans have a great VA
Yes.
loan. Big misconception with VA loans is you can have multiple VA loans.
Oh.
So those getting orders elsewhere and they already bought in, a county. For instance, the Maryland, D.C. area has some of the higher VA mortgages in the country. So
Right.
you can own 200% financed VA loans.
Wow.
In many cases. So that's a very popular one. The grant programs, so you have the Florida Housing Program that offers down payment assistance. That's popular.
That's like 10,000. Depends. There's also one
It
specific
can be up to
county.
35,000 in some cases. That funding does run out, so
Yeah.
it's not around. And then I'm licensed in 19 states, so each state has different nuances. But
Okay.
those are the low down payment for the first time home buyer, and then jumbo loans. We do a ton of jumbo loans too, so there's some unique jumbo. Bridge loans are big.
What about getting away from like the mortgage options and what are some of the more like creative financing options?
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of bridge loans, so that's pretty creative, where we can do a cross collateral loan, so we can extend a loan over multiple properties, which is really unique. So you can have one loan on a bunch of assets to help with the down payment on the next one. So, these bridge loans are allowing people, like you probably see it a lot, where people are sitting a lot of equity. They can't sell their house right away because they haven't found a house yet. This allows them to find a place, get under contract, non-contingent. We grab money out of there for the down payment on the next property, and then the bridge loan's paid off once you sell the house.
Yeah, it's
so,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Grace is learning things.
Yeah.
One of the things that I want to talk about, because a lot of people think I talk to a lot of realtor professionals, and they're like, we're in a down market right now. Like, we're not seeing what we used to see, at least in 2021, even though, to Grace's point, that's what before 2020, the houses were sitting in the market that long. But obviously, for some of the newer realtors, they're not seeing as much momentum. And interest rates has affected big time a lot of that momentum because the consumer that saw everybody getting houses at 2-3% is like, wait, I want 2-3%. So that's number one. And number two, we finally saw some cuts recently that brought down, but we were seeing really high interest rates. So what were you guys doing? Obviously, let me talk to number one in the country, 1% in the
1%.
country.
Number one in the
Both of them
country.
are
Slow
not
your
number
roll
one.
there. 1%. Top
And if
one.
you speak it, it'll happen,
totally.
right?
Okay.
So 1% in the country, what were
Yeah.
you doing to continue to stay, closing deals, even despite the fact that a lot of interest rates were pretty high? I want to say like 6 months ago, or 5 months ago, we were seeing pretty high numbers. in
Yeah, I
interest
mean,
rates.
obviously, it was a struggle for everyone. But, obviously the people who weren't closing, just a couple loans a year, they are now falling out of the industry. So, I think it's just, regardless of the industry you're in, it's just staying relevant.
Yeah.
Just nose to the ground, grindstone, or whatever the word is, right? And you just keep focused on giving good service to your past clients. Past clients are huge. That, staying in touch with all the people who've trusted you in the past has really helped me, as well. And then now, when the market's shifting, which I think we're about to see a shift, it's getting busy. We're very busy right now with activity. So I think that's a good sign. If rates do just drop a little bit, it's turning. So the
gonna be
people
great.
who had been waiting, yeah, get ready.
Yeah.
But I think, it's just staying relevant and focused.
Yeah, what have you done, Grace? Obviously, we've kind of all seen a little bit of a, for us, like, we're still hustling out here.
Yeah.
But we definitely saw a shift where I was closing so many transactions in 2021, 2022, 2023, but we definitely saw a shift. So what did you do to?
I think, agree with Neil. I think everyone has seen a slowdown throughout the industry and even other industries in general. But I think the same thing. When you're slower, that's when you kind of like spend more money on marketing and you do more. You can never like stop promoting and prospecting and marketing yourself. I go back a lot to my past clients, staying in top of my spheres. I do a newsletter twice a month. I try to send a little something every 3 months to everybody. I mean, a lot of my business is really from referrals and past clients. So I think, when I see the new people coming in, they think that, this business is so much about relationship.
100%.
And once you do a good job with somebody and you stay relevant, because they close a deal and they never hear from their realtor again. So then other people come into their lives because you forgot to just make a call and check in and say hi. So, stop trying to get new people to like you that don't know you when you already have a handful of people that actually, trust you and like you. So, leverage those relationships, stay relevant. It's obviously been scary to put more money into marketing when, money's not coming in as in the past few years. But, every day I show up, I hustle, I work hard, and I think it's the attitude. If you have this, like, if you're coming from like a sense of and you're nervous, and I think it shows. I think you just have to work hard, keep doing what you're doing. If you can spend more, do what you can afford, but do not slow down and use your phone and the people that make your calls.
Should we tell them?
Why?
we're starting a podcast. Eating podcast.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great that you brought that up because recently we were at a meeting and Sierra, you guys know Sierra, she presented in.
Yeah.
Oh, you weren't at Boca. So Sierra,
I missed that meeting.
She's great.
Sierra's wonderful. So she presented recently in Fort Lauderdale and in Boca yesterday. She's talking about like, listen, guys. If your sphere is 300 people and each one of those 300 people sends you business, you're going to triple your business.
Yeah.
The problem is we're not reaching out intentionally to who our real sphere is.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like the people that, you know, genuinely knows. I actually take it as a personal insult. I see somebody close somewhere else. I'm like, they did what happened? You know, like how did they miss that? I'm sure that's happened to you guys. You'll see
Yeah.
somebody close and you're like, how do they not know
Right.
that we
How do they not
exist?
think
You know,
of you?
like I be posting it every day, but like that just says something about us. Like we haven't touched base
Yeah.
with some of our contacts to be like, hey, just want to know how's it going? Like wanted to send you information. This might, you know, like it really is something about us not reaching out. We're
Yeah.
spending so much time trying to expand.
And
versus-
posting is
Right.
great. I think it's a combination of everything. Like you have to have a social media presence because the consumer is on the internet.
Right.
And it's almost like everybody, you give somebody your business card and they go on your Instagram right away, right? And they like see your feed and what you're doing.
Yeah.
It can tell so much about you.
Yeah.
But you know, them the algorithm. So you don't know if the people are seeing this stuff. So that's why it's also you have to call everybody your
Right.
sphere and send them a little something. It's like you have to touch them in all the different ways and you cannot stop. And I think another big thing for people is they want instant, you know, they think that you post one day and then tomorrow.
Right.
It's, I mean,
Takes
it's
time.
taking me so long to even like starting to get leads from Instagram. I think I used to get more, and I think Facebook is still my biggest as far as like social media leads.
Yeah.
But it's not an overnight thing,
Yes.
you know. Just like networking, like I don't like networking because you know I go and I haven't gotten a deal, but you still need to build the relationship
Right.
because I'm giving you my clients who are like the most precious thing.
Of
So
course.
if I don't trust that you're gonna take care of them the way that I am, then why am I gonna just send you business?
Right.
You know, like you
100%.
have to nourish the relationships. It takes time, and I mean it's all combination of everything.
I think that's so important. I mean, Neil, we'll talk about, I know both of you guys are members of our group, and obviously, I don't think Grace is like a newer
No,
member. Neil has been, how long have you been with us now?
2.5 years.
Yeah.
3 years?
And how has it gone? I think it takes time to like build.
Well, I will never forget it. The first 6 months, or like I was asked to renew, and coincidentally, it took time. Like I hadn't seen anything directly. I was given away a lot, which was great. You know,
To Kim.
to Kim, and
Yeah.
yes, and I think I gave you a couple.
No.
Anyway, and then she's like, I don't know if you timed it, but somehow these deals came through, and
I did
then
not time it. I did nothing.
Yeah, and then
I think it takes time.
and it
Yes.
takes time, and then I'm so glad I stuck with it because now those relationships have blossomed and people get more comfortable because I don't care who you are, you got to like get to know someone,
Sure.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
And who they really are, and then okay, maybe I'll give them a shot now.
Yeah.
you know.
It's true.
So
I agree. I mean, I was apparently 6 months in the group with you, and you hadn't said me anything. So, I'm really glad this relationship
Yes.
blossomed. No kidding.
Yes.
No, but I think it's amazing because we'll stand up and we'll be like, okay, Danielle sent you something.
Yeah.
I got to do the closing. You did it. We did Kim Revis's.
Uh-huh.
We've obviously sent a lot of things to Kim Revis, but then we
Yeah.
got to do her dad. So it's really
Yep.
special. It comes back around. Like,
Yeah.
and we like 5 of us will stand up and we're all part of the same transaction, which
That's
is
great.
pretty awesome
That's really
to
cool.
see people close business together, which I think is part of the thing. But to Grace's point, it takes time.
And then I think also, and I had some apprehension about just joining like a leads group because, it's me and a bunch of attorneys, right? And what benefit? So I'll share a story because networking stories, right?
Right.
Just,
Yeah.
Just meeting people, right? So Jennifer Chapkin, right?
Yeah.
So that the deal save I was just talking about,
Yeah.
the guy somehow reaches out to an attorney and she's on this negotiation with his business, and tells her his struggle with this deal. She's like, "Hey, call Neil." He's like, "Someone just gave me Neil's number. That's so
Oh,
weird.
wow.
So
what are
good.
the odds,
Right.
right?"
Yeah.
But it's just that extra person who trusts you, holding your
Right.
flag, and They don't even have to be in your industry.
Yeah, it's so important. That's so great. I love it.
Yeah.
And we want to thank you guys for being a part of our episode today, all about real estate, which I was excited to invite you guys because I love we could talk about this for hours, you know? But I think it's important, especially if people are trying to. Oh, one last question. So if somebody wants to buy a house, because I get this asked very often, it's like they are thinking maybe right now is not the right time, but I want to do it in a year. I always suggest that they contact a mortgage broker ahead of time or a realtor so that when they're ready, they're ready. Like they know what's to put in place. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, I mean, just as before they go out looking for a realtor,
you
want to get, and what's nice is we just only do soft pulls now, so it's not a negative impact on any score. And it gives you time. If your runway is a year and something's wrong on your credit, you find out now and we correct it by then. So
Right, you can come with like a path
Exactly.
towards, be like, do this, blah, 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 and then you're ready.
Yep.
Well, thank you both for being part of our podcast and for being part of the Miss Esquire chapters. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
For our listeners, how can they learn more about you and connect with you? Neil?
You can find me online, neilsloans.com, NEILSLOANS, and then I'm on Instagram as well.
Awesome.
So.
Grace?
You can find me on Instagram under Dietrich Grace, which my last name is not to.
You want to spell it?
DIETERICH Grace. But I think if you just put Grace Dietrich, it comes up. And then my website's Happy Buying and Selling with Grace, which is long, but it's easy. So.
That's awesome.
I like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being
Thanks for having us.
members
Thank you.
and being on our episode. And we appreciate you guys coming today.
Absolutely.
And all of us at Miss Esquire hope that you continue to grow your network and your net worth until we see you on the next episode.
Yes, please like and subscribe. And if you want more information about joining Miss Esquire, email us at admin@missesquire.com.